This is Gary Hall. I'm the Dean and President of Seabury, and I'm pleased to use this opportunity to talk to you about Seabury, its recent history, and its future. Many of you know that in 2008, Seabury embarked on a very painful process of making some decisions about the long-term future of the school. We had gotten to a point in our history where doing residential theological education in the way that we were doing it was unsustainable. But more than that, we also were beginning to feel as faculty and staff and board that there were good missional and pedagogical reasons to think about doing theological education differently. So for 2008 and much of 2009, we have been involved in a process of reinventing the school. The part that was painful got a lot of publicity. We declared financial exigency. We let most of the faculty go. We let 2/3 of the staff go. We terminated our residential MDiv program and entered into several cooperative arrangements with other schools. That got a lot of public publicity. But the process we've gone through since then has not been as public, but has been very exciting, and I think bodes well not only for Seabury, but for the future of theological education as a whole. The board and the core staff of Seabury have together worked to come up with a business plan for the 3 missional areas that we will use to serve the church. Equipping people for ministry, a core ministry education, still part of our basic mission at Seabury. Enriching people in their faith, a new and expanded development of continuing and enrichment and lay education available with our partnership with Northwestern, and our historic and really signature program of the Doctor of Ministry and Congregational Development, this now done in collaboration with the Church Divinity School of the Pacific in Berkeley. In February of 2009, the board looked at those mission plans, those business plans, and adopted them. And in May of 2009, the board adopted a budget which, with the sale of our property to Northwestern, gets us out of debt, doubles our endowment, and brings us, for the first time in many years, to a place where we now have actually a balanced budget. And we really have a business plan that allows us to develop these programs and build them in collaboration with other institutions and schools and congregations. I have 2 basic points, and then I want to turn this presentation over to my staff, faculty, colleagues to talk in more detail. One of them is that, as far as I'm concerned, as long as I'm here at Seabury, and I hope as long as Seabury continues in its next incarnation, we will no longer try to do anything on a standalone basis. One of the things that got Seabury into the difficulty it got into financially, and really is getting all of our sister theological education institutions into the same difficulty that we were in, is our weird tendency to try to do everything on a standalone basis. And I have said that my sort of core principle as we go forward is that Seabury will no longer do anything entirely on its own. Everything we do, we will do in collaboration with someone else. We do ministry education in collaboration with our own Diocese of Chicago and with other dioceses in the Living Stones Network. We do MDiv education in collaboration with the other Chicago divinity schools and with Bexley Hall in Columbus. We do our DMin program in collaboration with the CDSP in Berkeley. We do our enrichment education in collaboration with Northwestern. The future of theological education is collaborative partnerships, and I believe Seabury has an opportunity to be a pioneer in this regard. And lastly, the other thing I would say is that Seabury is unique also in moving the conversation of how theological education is delivered pedagogically to the next phase. There was a very influential book when I was in seminary in the 1960s and 70s called Deschooling Society by Ivan Illich. And if I were going to write a book about this in this decade, I would write a book called Deschooling Seminary. I think it's important that theological education institutions like Seabury continue to bring the traditional depth and excellence of accredited theological education to the formation of people for ministry. But I think it's equally important that we find ways to bring that intellectually serious and spiritually deep kind of ministry education to the church in a way that it goes beyond the university research model and uses the congregation, the world, the diocese, and all kinds of emerging faith communities as the locus of our action and reflection together. I've been really fortunate at Seabury to have wonderful colleagues to work with in this process. Elizabeth Butler is Seabury's vice president. Ellen Wandre is Seabury's academic dean. And Susan Harlow has just joined our faculty and staff as director of our congregational development program. They are now going to talk to you in more detail about Seabury and its future, and I hope that any questions that I haven't answered will be addressed in what they have now to say to you.
I'm Elizabeth Butler, the Vice President at Seabury-Western Theological Seminary, being part of announcing the big news that we have at Seabury of selling our campus in order to take our mission on the road, which is really where it belongs. It's in keeping with Seabury's DNA, being a missionary seminary in its inception over 150 years ago, that we would take the mission to the people, to those who are in need of that learning and opportunity for theological education. So as we transition out of the 3-year residential, we no longer have need for so much bricks and mortar. What we need are flexible classroom spaces, technology to enable us to do more online, as well as take things on the road. So it is with a mixed emotion that we stand at this very faithful moment in time. We are able to let go of the beloved buildings that we all cherish and have enjoyed for all of these years. Has been a wonderful place to nurture so many people. But we're taking the value that is in these spaces and translating them into the mission of taking theological education to a new level of accessibility by moving it out from one space and locating it into the community where it really belongs. We have a 5-year leaseback from the area by the chapel down to the end of the hallway by the library. And in that space, we'll have the ability to stay for 5 years. We may choose to leave sooner. It may be in our best interest to relocate. We're already investigating a couple of options that are very exciting. And if we do, in fact, leave sooner, we'll make sure that we make that announcement so that people will know exactly where we are. The 5-year agreement does include the time to have access to the chapel, but when we leave, we will need to deconsecrate that holy and sacred space. We'll make sure that people know in advance so that there are plenty of opportunities for people to continue to come back to worship, to celebrate together, and to rejoice in the powerful place of formation that has been for so many. And when we finally leave, Bishop Charles Palmerston Anderson and his wife will be relocated to their family area in Wisconsin, and we will have a very sacred and important goodbye to our chapel. The library, the United Library, we have actually sold to our partner in the United Library, to Garrett, in exchange for perpetual access for all of Seabury's family, for our faculty, students, friends, alums. More and more, the United Library, thanks to our director, Beth Shepard, is doing things more online with PDFs. So that is a wonderful opportunity for us to keep the collection intact, which was a great benefit. We're using the Hoover Memorial Library Fund to offset some of those costs for the United Library in exchange for the perpetual access and, in fact, a role in its governance. So we have both satisfied the accreditation need there, as well as our own need to have access to one of the top 10 theological libraries in the country, and to have that access going forward perpetually. In many ways, we're getting back to our real roots. Once one decides that there's a question or a tension between your buildings and your mission. It's really the mission that needs to drive it, and that's what's happening here. So I look forward to seeing more of you in more vehicles, more opportunities for learning, classrooms, short residentials, online components. We're expanding our website and in the process of really changing that so that it's a more interactive resource for more people to be able to enjoy, share what's happening that's going well, that they want others to be able to see, as well as download short modules, online learning, other kinds of opportunities. So we're really looking at things in a different way and trying to understand and learn how we can make the grounded, high-quality theological education that we have available out to more people, both lay and ordained, ordinand training, and people who are not interested in that. So I will pass this on to my colleagues, and we'll continue to unfold the story.
And it is an exciting time to be at Seabury-Western as it moves into its new directions, giving much more emphasis to what is actually happening in congregations and in people of faith's lives. And so I have been hired now to coordinate the two Doctor of Ministry programs, one being the Doctor of Ministry in Congregational Development, which is in collaboration with the Church Divinity School of the Pacific in Berkeley, California. The second Doctor of Ministry program that we are participants in is the Doctor of Ministry in Preaching program that several other of the Chicago area seminaries also are part of this program. What's exciting about the Doctor of Ministry program is that the courses are taught by some wonderful people who are experts in their subjects, and they are going to be in the form that some folks have known them in terms of intensives, both here in Evanston on the where Seabury is located, and in Berkeley at CDSP's campus. But at the same time, there will be online options, and there will be ways that we can communicate with each other in these Doctor of Ministry programs using the new technology. The church is changing. The church needs leaders who are thinking about the aspects of what is happening in our culture, what is happening in our economy, what is happening in terms of the multiracial, multi-ethnicness of this nation. And so what we are designing these Doctor of Ministry programs, particularly in congregational development, to look at is some of the new and groundbreaking areas which will help us deal into the greater expanses of the 21st century. In addition, not only may Doctor of Ministry students who enroll in our program take these courses, but we're offering these courses to persons who have an intellectual interest in the groundbreaking aspects of what it means to be a leader in the 21st century, what it means to live in the world of globalization, what it means to be part of a movement for sustainability, not necessarily utilizing the natural resources in a way that don't ensure their existence for coming generations. And so folks who have the intellectual interest, MDiv students, or just folks, lay leaders who want some kind of ongoing reflection on theology in the church are welcome to take these courses also.
Thanks, Susan.
Ellen.
I'm going to talk a bit about the area that we're calling equipping people for ministry. This is the area in which the MDiv program falls. Now, as Elizabeth said, it has become more and more clear to more and more of us in theological education and in the church as a whole that the 3-year residential MDiv program as the preparation for ministry can no longer be sustained in the way that it was. In other words, that it is not the only way that people have been preparing for ministry for more than 40 years now, and it may not be the primary way for many people for all kinds of reasons, inability to relocate, the need, the desire to continue with current work and current careers and so on. So in exiting the 3-year residential MDiv program, what we have entered is a whole range of ways of preparing people for ministry that does not depend on their being on campus for 3 years, full-time, 5 days a week, and Sundays. What we're doing instead is a series of courses that fall into a number of categories, all of which will be offered in hybrid form. That is, they'll be offered online in part, and also in residential intensives on campus. Again, not necessarily here at Seabury. These can also be moved to other places in the country where there may be a concentration of people who are interested. While people are on campus, there will be classes, of course, but there will also be worship, community building, informal conversation, all of the really valuable parts of a residential program. But then people can do their reading, their discussing, and their class preparation online in conversation with each other, regardless of how far apart they may live. All of these courses are offered at the Master of Divinity level. They're also available to Doctor of Ministry students, and they're available to people who want to take them for continuing education or for academic credit, not related to a degree, or are just interested in the topics. We're beginning this fall a diploma in Anglican Studies, which is a series of courses focusing on how Anglicans approach and think about and pray about certain kinds of things that are distinctive to our tradition, but by no means unique. So this is a program where people who are enrolled perhaps in an MDiv program elsewhere in Chicago or elsewhere in the country can work with us on weekends or during intensive weeks on the particular Anglican take, if you will, on things like theology, liturgy, ethics, ministry, music, and spirituality, and so on. And that's going to be a very exciting set of offerings that can be used to earn a diploma concurrently with an MDiv or not in conjunction with an MDiv at all. We're also offering a number of other courses that are available for academic credit or for personal interest or continuing education that have to do with things that are happening right now and need some attention. I'll give you 3 examples. One of them is a course in January on economics and sustainability. What this actually is the combination of 2 conferences, one at Trinity Institute in New York and one at Epiphany West at CDSP in Berkeley. We will have both of those conferences downloaded here and have additional study, reading, and conversation about how it is that Christians today can influence our economic and environmental policy and practices. We'll also have a course on ministry development. How do those of us who are congregational leaders discern and help discern the ministries of various other people and help them develop those? And in the spring, we'll also have a course on Islam for Christians, obviously a very important topic. All of this involves formation and worship. We're doing this to some extent in partnership with Bexley Hall Seminary in Columbus, Ohio. We're increasing the spread of our partnership with CDSP, and we're working as closely as we can with the other Chicago area seminaries. We're also working on developing ways that we can bring what we have to the work of developing total ministry, locally trained and oriented ministry. So we're in conversations there, and we're exploring a lot of other possibilities about how to make the seminary's resources more available to dioceses and to individuals who are engaged in preparation for ministry or development of ministry. There's plenty more to say about that, but I'm going to turn it over to Elizabeth to talk about the 3rd program area.
The third area of mission that we're really excited about is enriching people in faith. Originally, theological education was seen as something that was trickle-down theory. A few people were given the information, they put a collar around our necks to make sure that we had it right, disseminated that, and they would dispense it to a few people at a time. And that's not the way the world is anymore. More and more, people are hungry for a deeper level of sophisticated theological reflection and wisdom and insight and learning opportunities. And lifelong continuing ed centers are popping up across the country. It's important that we really take that seriously. If someone has a question, they don't tend to wait until Sunday morning to hope that it gets downloaded to them. They Google it. They want to find out on their own. Clearly, things like EFM and Alpha and other programs, people are very interested in looking at some important things and doing so on their own time, in their own schedule, in their own way, but at a level of sophistication that is important for us to take seriously. So it's with great joy that we're opening up this Enriching People in Their Faith area. We're doing a few things beginning initially in Chicago, Indianapolis, and Columbus, just to get ourselves started. But as we grow in doing lectures and seminars and short sessions, we'll continue with some residentials and broaden out. And the topics are wide-ranging, but they're what people are interested in talking about today, whether inside of the church or out. How to be faithful in a multi-faith world, how to recognize and honor one's own relationship with Christ and our own understanding as Christians, but not in an exclusive way, in a way that respects and honors others in our midst and finds ways to do that to further the peace and reconciliation across the country and across the globe. Looking also at things of the economy or sustainability, the environment. We're looking at arts and spirituality. We're looking at a whole host of things. If people are interested in it, and we have the ability to foster some of that creative conversation about what it means to be human, about early life ethics, all kinds of issues that are of interest to people but may or may not be currently tackled in parishes, but that we can help facilitate that, but that are available of interest to those who are ordained, not ordained, and who might be ordained. So keep an eye out for that as we go forward. And that leads me to a final note. Seabury Next is what you'll see on a lot of our materials. And people have occasionally said, what's that about? I don't understand. Well, it's that Seabury is looking to be open to what's needed next. We're agile, we're equipped, we're grounded, and we're ready to respond to the needs that are actually there. So if you have an idea, if you have something you think is important to be able to learn or share or facilitate, let us know. Be in touch with us, and we can begin to put that next idea into action together with you. We're interested in being prepared and grounded with the 150 plus years of our tradition, ready to be open to what's unfolding today and tomorrow, because the Spirit is still at work, and we're excited to be a part of that. Thank you for taking the time to hear what Seabury's up to, and we look forward to sharing with you as more and more of our new life unfolds in partnership with others and with you in particular. I hope that you will consider giving to Seabury. We have done a lot of hard work to get ourselves to a place of a solid financial footing, but always the future will depend on not only people attending the various short residentials, courses, degrees, certificates, diplomas that we have to offer that we hope are in response to what the needs are, but also that we have partners who believe in what we're doing, who understand and agree with our courageous step, and we hope that you will express that in giving to Seabury either online or writing a check and sending it in. And we thank you for taking the time to share with us your thoughts and comments. We have a Seabury blog off of our main website. We're present on Anglo-Emergent site and on Facebook and Twitter, so find us, be a part of us, and let us know what it is that you need to have Seabury be next in your life.
This is Gary Hall again. I want to express my thanks to Elizabeth and Susan and Ellen for their work and the way they've presented this. And I want to extend to you an invitation to be in contact with me, in addition to them. You know how to get in touch with us. Seabury.edu is our website, and all of our email addresses have our names, first name dot second name at seabury.edu. So I'm gary.hall@seabury.edu if you want to send me an email. I believe that the future of theological education, as I said earlier, is in partnerships and in collaboration. I believe that the future of Seabury is a future that is involved in doing all of this in concert with the people we serve. Seminaries exist to serve the ministries of the church, and we are a place that does education for ordained and lay ministry. We're also a place that seeks to serve faith communities in a variety of ways, many of which we can't even imagine yet. So I invite you and urge you, as we continue down this road of transforming this school for the next several decades of its existence, to send us your ideas and to let us know how we can meet your needs for excellent education for ministry, for excellent enrichment education, and for ways to make faith communities and congregations the strongest they can be. This is a wonderful school with a 150-plus year history of serving the church in visionary and missional ways. And it is my belief that we can go forward to be agents of God's love and justice and evangelism and mission in ways that you and I can't even begin to think of yet. But I do believe that we are on a path where our children and grandchildren and our descendants will be beneficiaries of the work that we're doing at this moment in our history. Thanks for your attention, and I look forward to hearing from you.